1. Jesus' compassion for the lost. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. Luke 19:10. Jesus demonstrated his deep compassion for those who were lost spiritually, physically, or emotionally. His mission was to seek out those who were in need of salvation and healing. Whether it was reaching out to the marginalized, healing the sick, or forgiving sinners, Jesus' compassion was always extended to those who needed it most. As his followers, we are called to share this same compassion, looking for opportunities to reach out to those who are lost and offering them the hope of salvation. 2. The Good Samaritan. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. Luke 10:33. In the parable of the Good Samaritan, Jesus illustrates what true compassion looks like. The Samaritan, unlike others who passed by, stopped to help a wounded man, showing mercy without expecting anything in return. Jesus teaches us that compassion goes beyond mere sympathy. It involves taking action to help those in need, even when it requires sacrifice. True compassion does not look at someone's status or background, but sees the value in helping others, regardless of their circumstances. 3. Mercy for the miserable. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Matthew 5:7. Jesus calls his followers to be merciful, just as God is merciful to us. Mercy involves showing kindness and forgiveness to those who have wronged us or are in distress. It's not about judging others harshly, but about showing compassion and grace. When we extend mercy to others, we reflect the heart of God, and we open ourselves up to receive his mercy in return. Jesus teaches that mercy is a key characteristic of the kingdom of God, and it is through mercy that we demonstrate the love of Christ. 4. Jesus' compassion for the sick and the poor. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick. Matthew 14:14. Throughout his ministry, Jesus showed great compassion for the sick, the poor, and the oppressed. He healed the sick, fed the hungry, and gave hope to the downtrodden. His compassion was not limited to spiritual matters, but extended to the physical, emotional, and social needs of those around him. As his followers, we are called to serve others in the same way, meeting both their spiritual and physical needs with compassion and mercy, offering help, healing, and hope. 5. Forgiveness and compassion. Then Peter came to Jesus and asked, "Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Up to 7 times. Jesus answered, "I tell you, not 7 times, but 77 times. Matthew 18:21-22. Jesus taught that forgiveness is an essential expression of mercy and compassion. When Peter asked how many times he should forgive, Jesus responded that there should be no limit to forgiveness. His teaching emphasizes that true mercy involves a willingness to forgive even the most repeated offenses. Through forgiveness, we release the burden of bitterness and resentment, and we mirror the mercy that God extends to us. Compassion and forgiveness are intertwined. Both are expressions of God's unconditional love. 6. Compassion for those who mourn. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Matthew 5:4. Jesus recognizes the pain and grief that come with loss, and he promises comfort to those who mourn. His compassion extends to those in sorrow, and he assures them that they will be comforted. As followers of Christ, we are called to offer that same comfort to others, being a source of support and encouragement to those who are grieving. Compassion involves walking alongside others in their pain, offering a listening ear, a helping hand, and the love of Christ. 7. Jesus' compassion for the outcasts. A large crowd followed him, and he healed all who were ill, Matthew 12:15. Jesus consistently reached out to those who were considered outcasts by society: lepers, tax collectors, sinners, and the marginalized. He saw value in every person, regardless of their social status or reputation. His compassion for the outcast shows us that God's love extends to everyone, and as followers of Christ, we are called to love and accept those whom society often rejects. We must be willing to extend mercy to the overlooked and the broken, reflecting the inclusive love of Jesus. 8. Compassion for the hungry and thirsty. Jesus called his disciples to him and said, "I have compassion for these people. They have already been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat." Matthew 15:32. In the miracle of feeding the 4,000, Jesus expressed his compassion for the physical needs of the people. He saw that they were hungry and made sure they were fed. Jesus teaches us that compassion involves not only spiritual care, but also taking action to meet the physical needs of others. Whether through providing for the poor, helping the hungry, or offering practical support, we are called to show compassion in tangible ways, demonstrating God's love in action. 9. Jesus' compassion in prayer. Jesus wept. John 11:35. One of the shortest verses in the Bible, but one of the most powerful, is Jesus wept. When Jesus saw the grief of those mourning the death of Lazarus, he was deeply moved. His compassion for their sorrow was evident in his tears. This moment shows that Jesus understands our pain and sorrow, and he cares deeply about our suffering. We are encouraged to approach God with our own grief, knowing that he is compassionate and empathetic toward our struggles. 10. Compassion leads to action. The king will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." Matthew 25:40. Jesus teaches that compassion is not just about feeling sorry for others, it must lead to action. In the parable of the sheep and the goats, he shows that serving those in need, feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, visiting the sick is serving him. True compassion leads us to act on behalf of others, especially those in need. We demonstrate our love for Jesus by showing mercy and kindness to those around us, particularly the least fortunate.